Welcome to Queens of Moxie, a podcast all about empowering women. I'm Mary Kay Campbell, and I'm your host. I found that when I reached midlife, I was feeling discontent, a little lost, overwhelmed, not finding the joy and peace that I always wanted. And when I talked to other women, I found out that we were all in the same boat, facing empty nests, aging parents, dissatisfaction with our jobs. So that's what Queens of Moxie is all about. I interview women who have come out on the other side triumphant, and their stories will inspire you, give you hope, and you'll enjoy it. So let's get started. So first, I want to say welcome to Kim Ely. She is here today on the Queens of Moxie podcast. And Kim, I can't begin to tell you how excited I am to have you here. I've known you for a little while now, and every interaction I have with you is just filled with joy and excitement and enthusiasm. And it is just an absolute delight. And I know the listeners here today are going to have a great time hearing your story and how you are a queen of Moxie. And so thank you. Thank you for joining us. Kim has 2 degrees in writing, one from William & Mary and one from VCU for her graduate program. And even though she got not 1, but 2 degrees in writing, she spent about 20 years in the IT industry. And so today we're going to talk to her about why she chose that path and now where she is and what she's doing and how that all unfolded. So Kim, welcome.
Oh, thank you so much, Mary Kay. And thank you for that warm welcome. I feel the same way about you. You just light up the room, and I just love being around you. So yay!
Oh, thank you, honey. Thank you. So you graduated from William & Mary for your undergrad, got your graduate degree in VCU. Were those right after each other, or was there some time in between?
There were about 2 years in between. So once I got my undergrad degree, I was like, oh, I need a break. And then I decided to jump in 2 years after that, which I'm glad I did. I'm glad I went ahead and plowed through and got my graduate degree.
Yeah, I know that when I went back and got my master's, I was working full time, I was married, I was pregnant, and it was overwhelming trying to get through that program. And a 2-year program took me 4 years to complete because of life and trying to juggle it all. So I think that was wise for sure.
Yes. I look back now and I'm like, oh, I'm glad I did that.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So tell me, with your degrees in English and writing and rhetoric, why did you go into IT?
Oh, that's such a good question. So yeah, I always jokingly say, yeah, doesn't every English major go into IT after they graduate? Oh. um, Candidly, I was trying to find jobs in writing and I had a hard time finding something. And, the usual pressures of, oh, snap, I need to pay the bills, got to me. And I was like, well, let me find something. And actually, IT is kind of a brilliant field to go into if you're a writer, because nobody in IT likes to write. They absolutely hate it. And so having that skill really made me valuable because I did technical writing. So sometimes I would write computer manuals or the accompanying documentation for software. I often said I translated technical into English. I absolutely love also puzzles and putting things together. And I have no fear when it comes to electronics. I probably should have more fear. When I got my first computer, I took it home and I immediately took it apart and put it back together again with some help. And I was like, this is fascinating. So I always, I learned how to put my own memory in my computer. And so I became a computer technician. And for a while, it was really fun.
I think that's so fascinating because most people who are writers are very right-brained and not technical. at all. And so the fact that you have both of those sides of your brain actively engaged is a unique and wonderful skill set. And I will say too that when I worked in healthcare, so I did writing for healthcare for many years. I found the same thing that you found with IT people, that I had to take very, very complex research and clinical trials and procedures and things like that, and make them approachable and understandable for the common person. We always say you write at the 7th grade level, and those things are not at that level. So I personally can appreciate and understand the value of what you did with the IT aspects of it. You did that for 20 years. And then what?
Yes. And then one day, so to give a little bit of background, my husband and I actually met at work. It was the world's worst kept office romance secret. Everybody knew. And we had been married for a number of years. We went on vacation together. And then the day we came back, it was in 2014, we had layoffs at work. And fortunately, neither my husband nor I were laid off, but most of the people on my team were. But I did spend several tense hours going, will I be laid off? Will my husband be laid off? So when my team was laid off, I was very bummed. At that point, I had worked from being a computer technician to being a project manager. And I loved my team. That was my favorite part of working with them, was, mentoring them, helping set them up for success. And so it really kind of rebooted my world. Computer pun. So I thought to myself, you know what am I doing with my life? I'm like sleepwalking through my existence. I have a steady job. I have a steady paycheck coming in, but am I really feeling fulfilled? Am I doing what I was put on this earth to do? And gradually it occurred to me, I'm like, no. So my thing to do, and maybe many of your listeners do this as well, when I need answers, a lot of times besides prayer, I also turn to books. And so I was looking for a book to help me out, to figure out, what do people do who love what they do? Who are those people? Because, so many of us grow up with the understanding that work is drudgery, and you suffer through it to make money to live. You do your living on your off hours, and your work is awful. And I was like, there's got to be a different way. So I started thinking to myself, all the people who really love what they do. And so I decided, because I couldn't find the right book about it, I'm like, I'm going to write that book. Doggone it. I've got a, graduate degree in writing. Why don't I use the darn thing? So in 2014, I started writing my book, and I talked to people all different walks of life. The thing they had in common was they absolutely love what they do. For fun, I did reach out to a couple of people with unusual careers. One is a lady who runs a traveling cat circus. She gets on a bus with 30 cats and travels all across the United States. And I'm like, you must love what you do, because I am a cat lover, and that does not sound fun to me.
No, me neither.
I'm like, no. I also talked to another wonderful lady. This is so cool. She's a travel agent, but what she does is she interviews you beforehand and has an extensive questionnaire. And then after she's talked to you, gets to know what you like and dislike, she sets you up on a trip, but you don't know where you're going until you get to the airport and you open the envelope.
Wow.
And the name of her company is Magical Mystery Tours. I'm like, that's brilliant. And just, she said, as adults, we have so many sucky surprises, right? Yep. A bill we weren't expecting, something we have to fix. She goes, we need more fun surprises in our life. And she said people, they do have an adventurous spirit, but they love it. So after interviewing these amazing people, I started telling people, because you know me, Mary Kay, and you could probably tell if you're listening to this, I'm an extrovert. And so I would walk up to people and I was like, hey, I wrote a book. And so I ended up self-publishing it. And people were like, that's great. Tell me more. Having come from the world of IT, I was used to complicated things. So people be like, how did you write and publish your book? I go, oh, it's just these 50 easy steps. Blah, 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 blah. And their eyes would glaze over and they're like, you know, you could tell they were like, sorry I asked. And then finally, one awesome woman was like, time out. You know, I don't want to know all these steps, Kim, but I would pay you to do that. And I was like, you would? Like, it never occurred to me in a million years. So I started a side hustle, writing, coaching, and also coaching people through publishing. And it turned out a lot of people want to write books. So that's how I transitioned. So I transitioned from IT. I worked in IT for another year and a half because I started it in 2016. And then in November 2017, I walked away from my full-time job, which was terrifying at the time, and it's been going well ever since.
I mean, you're right. It is terrifying to be like, oh, now what? It all comes down on me. But how incredibly fun and exciting. And I know that you recently signed on with a major publisher, and that never would have happened had you not done all of this work that you've been doing for the last 5 years. So tell us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. And you're so right. It's amazing. When I think when you start doing the work that you're meant to be doing, it's amazing the windows and doors and, you know, everything that opens. So I, by good fortune, ended up meeting David Hancock, who is the CEO of Morgan James Publishing, and just the most delightful, wonderful man. And so he and I got to talking. Okay, this is funny, full confession. Before he and I met, like usually I'll do homework before I meet somebody so I know what to talk about. Well, he went to high school with a friend of mine, and my friend had nothing to do with publishing or anything. And my friend was like, hey, you want to meet my friend? He does publishing too. And I was like, okay, sure, whatever. Didn't do any homework on David. Didn't realize he's had New York Times bestsellers. Yeah, he's like a big deal. Like Publishing Weekly, which is a big deal, mentioned and said he's uh, called his company Morgan James an unconventional traditional publisher. And so he's telling me all these things, and I'm on the phone trying to be cool, like, oh, that's great. Yeah, uh-huh. And inside I'm going, holy macaroni, who is this guy? So we hit it off really well. I'm kind of glad though, because I think if I had been prepared, I probably would have been more stuffy and nervous.
Right, of course. Yeah.
Right? Because don't we do that? Like when we meet somebody and we're like, okay, I'm sitting up straight. I better behave myself now.
No, I know. You want to be that your authentic self. And sometimes there's that um, you know, complex of I'm not good enough, or oh, this person is really powerful. And I think it is neat that you went into that blind in the sense that you were just your authentic Kim Awesome Ely. I mean, it's fabulous.
Oh, it was so fun. So we hit it off well. And so I started recommending some people to work with him, because with my publishing company, Kiwi Publishing, you know, it's an indie publisher. So I do a lot for my clients, but I'm always clear, you know, I always strive to be, I call it TAO, transparent, authentic, and open. So transparently, there's things that I couldn't do for my clients that I knew David could. So I would recommend people to him. And then he said, why don't we formalize this? He said, we have this thing. It's called an acquisition editor, which is sort of like a editor who's also a talent scout. And so I started working with him that way, and things went so well. He goes, You do children's books. Why don't, oh, well, first, I left out a step. In late 2021, he mentioned about doing an imprint under Morgan James Publishing. So to explain that, that's like having a little boutique house underneath of Morgan James Publishing. So all the benefits of being with Morgan James Publishing, having that great reach, and then having my company. And I was floored. I was like, holy moly, I get to work with David and his amazing team. Um, so of course I said yes. And so we're currently working on our first clients together. It's co-authors of a children's book. And then he chatted with me this spring and said, well, you know what? Our children's publisher, I love this. She decided to stop working because she was becoming a mom and she wanted to be able to stay at home. So she's creating new children's book readers. Yay. So David asked if I would like to step into that role as the Morgan James Kids publisher. And again, I was floored. I'm like, holy cow, are you kidding me? So it's been amazing so far. I've talked to several people who are not part of my imprint, but are going to be publishing through Morgan James Publishing, and just grateful and delighted to be able to help guide them and advise them on behalf of Morgan James. It's so cool.
It is, and it's a testament to something you referred to earlier, which is that whole idea that so often in life, work is drudgery, and we are working to pay the bills, but we're not working to fulfill ourselves or to fill up our cups. And you took a difficult situation and pivoted and turned it into something that you sought out. Well, what is my purpose? What is it that I want to do? You have just demonstrated exactly how that works. You went from a situation that was difficult, you looked for inspiration, you found it, but you also found a void, and it's growing exponentially, which is phenomenal.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. And I would be remiss if I didn't share the fact that there were a lot of scary moments along the way, because I think frequently we will see somebody who is successful and we're like, you see the end result, like people see me after having stepped into being in this publishing role, but there were some really scary times, and times of doubt, and times of, okay, where's my next client coming from? And I don't say that to scare anybody. I just share it to say it did take that leap of faith, but it also took having that vision, that idea that I have a purpose, I have a calling, and I have something that I'm here to share. And so, I didn't want to go into, retirement or, into the end of my life and look back and regret and be like, dadgummit, I could have done this. What could have happened if I had tried? And honestly, Mary Kay, this has exceeded my expectations. I'm so like, the British have a wonderful word called gobsmacked. I am gobsmacked at what has happened. I'm like, holy moly, this is the coolest thing ever. So
And I think it's fabulous that you have that you're gobsmacked, that it has exceeded your expectations, because I believe truly that when we are in the space where we're supposed to be, we're stunned. Like, you have no idea where it's coming from, but you know it's coming.
yes, it's incredible. It's absolutely incredible. And the fact that I get to meet amazing people like you, my friend, and the amazing clients I've met along the way, I wouldn't have had an opportunity to meet I wouldn't have had the opportunity to meet a lot of people without having made this leap. And I'm so grateful because my life is so much richer for it. Gosh, I think the thing is, sometimes we try to stop ourselves, and a lot of times other people, well-meaning people, will try to stop us too, right? They're like, what do you think you're doing? Why are you quitting this full-time job? But the thing is, even so-called steady full-time jobs are kind of an illusion, right? That's what I think snapped me out of my sleepwalking with the layoffs at work. It was like, oh, you think you have this steady job, but things can change in an instant.
Right. It's not the same world that our parents grew up in, where you could start in a job and stay in it your entire life. It's just not. And if you pour yourself into something that you don't love, and you wake up one day, you're not happy, you've spent your life doing it, and it's not secure, wow, that's a double-edged, double whammy.
Exactly. Exactly. That's why I absolutely love the name that you have, Queen of Moxie, because it takes that moxie, it takes that chutzpah. You got to have that. You got to have a vision and also passion, but also that core belief, like, holy macaroni, I was put on this earth to do this. When you boil it down to the essence of what you do, and I think you and I share this in common. When I think about what I'm really here to do, not just publish books, not just help people write, but I think I'm here to uplift people and create joy. And my expression of doing that is through helping them to tell their story, whether it's children's books or personal development books, to bring that hope and inspiration to other people. And once you kind of boil down to, this is my reason for being, it makes it easier to focus. And even during the times when I was still in IT and not yet able to concentrate on writing full time, having that idea that, oh my gosh, I am going to rock people's worlds in ways that I may not ever envision or imagine, it is just the coolest thing ever.
I couldn't agree with you more. And I know Queens of Moxie has been germinating in me for a very long time, And for me, unfortunately, it took a traumatic car accident for me to really stop and say, okay, I'm not doing what I'm supposed to be doing. And my mission is to help other women get to that place before they have a traumatic incident, whether it's a diagnosis, a divorce, a loss of job, whatever it might be. And I feel that at this point in our lives, when we are in midlife and we're facing so many unique challenges, where if you have children, you potentially have a looming empty nest, your parents are aging, you're looking at your job and thinking, is this really what I want to do? And it's this time in our lives when things are changing. I am a lot. I'm loud. I am enthusiastic. I fill up a space, and I recognize that I'm not for everyone, but I'm tired of trying to not be who I am to fit into a mold. And that's what Queens of Moxie is all about. You have power. You have moxie. You are amazing just how you are. And Queens of Moxie is all about helping you to get to that place where you can celebrate and live in that place where you are who you are authentically supposed to be. So I love what you do, because it is all about that same concept and that same philosophy and mission to really empower people and to help them be who they're supposed to be. So hats off to you, my friend.
Woo, thank you. And you as well. Woo.
Thank you.
Awesome.
We only have a few more minutes, and I want to ask you, if you were to give someone advice about reclaiming their power, what would you say? How would you frame it, or what would be advice that you would give them?
Absolutely. So one of the most powerful things I've learned, and it is, I listened to an audiobook by a gentleman named Steven Sims, and it's called Blue Fishing. I recommend it to everybody. But one of the things he talks about is failure. We're all afraid of failure, right? I think so many of us try so hard never to fail. And he said, no, failure is just research. Failure is just you've learned how not to do something so you can
Yeah.
step in the right direction. And I think that's one of the most powerful things as you are stepping into your moxie is don't let failure defeat you. Failure is a tool. Failure is research. It's like, okay, I tried that. That didn't work. Next. And move on and grow from those experiences. They can be some of the most powerful lessons learned. And it's incredible once you harness that fear and just say, dadgummit, I'm going to fail, but I'm going to fail up.
That's right. That's right. That is a great way of looking at it. Well, Kim, it has been an absolute delight speaking with you. We are here today with Kim Ely with Kiwi Publishing, and I hope that you enjoyed the conversation as much as I did with Kim, because I know that she is just a dynamo who is rocking it and is going to continue to be a massive queen of Moxie. So thank you, Kim.
Oh, thank you so much. Right back at you, my friend.
Every week, we come to you with a new story from someone that's truly remarkable and amazing. And the hope is that you will walk away inspired, filled with purpose, peace, and joy. I'm Mary Kay Campbell, and this has been Queens of Moxie.